Hello, it's Chris Bergstrom from BushidoPhoto.com, and today I'm going to show you how to gel a background and avoid spilling the color onto your subject. Alright, so if you know anything about light, you understand that there's a thing called the inverse square law. Alright, so you want to gel your background and you want to avoid having the light spill onto your subject. So the way I do it in my studio is I have the lights over here mounted to the side of the wall because I have a very small studio. It's only 9 feet wide. So rather than trying to have light stands, I actually attach the lights to the wall and aim them roughly to this point right here and this point right here, which spreads the light out, as you can see in this little diagram of the lady in the shot here. If you also look closely, if you look down at the floor, you can kind of see where the light starts to fade away from the intensity of the background. So what you're looking for is, let's say you don't have a light meter and you just want to do this by hand. So you're over here where the camera is and you take a shot and your subject's not even in the frame yet. If you look at the floor, you can typically see where that light that's reflecting off the background is going to start to get darker to the point where you can no longer see the actual effects of that light because our camera sensors aren't sensitive enough to record it. So as long as you move your subject back far enough away from the background, which in my case is usually about 6 to 8 feet away from the background, is usually enough to keep the background color from spilling onto the subject. Now, the relationship of the light, if you notice up here, the softbox is feathered. It's not aimed at the subject. It's feathering like you would see window light, which you could see here is basically nice side lighting. I have it up higher than the eye line to get a shadow underneath the chin, and it's also not spilling onto the background because of the distance of that light to the subject is pretty close. By the time it reaches here, it's no longer even in effect. Alright, so if you adjust the brightness of these background lights, it's going to make this background color brighter. In other words, instead of being yellow, it would turn a light yellow, and eventually it would turn white. And so if you have it too bright, it's going to turn very light in color. It's also going to reflect a lot more off of that background. So what I recommend using is, don't use a white background if you can avoid it. Use something like that's neutral gray, like 18% gray, or a medium dark gray will actually show you the color of the light better than white will, because you're a lot of times going to overexpose with gelling on the background unless you turn the intensity of the lights down, which could be a good thing. But first, the way I do it is I take a picture, I look at the background, and I say, okay, the background is the color that I want it. Now, whatever settings I'm set at, I can either leave it or I can adjust my flash power down and my camera settings as well. So let's just theoretically say that my camera showed up at f5.6 and the background looks perfect the way that I want the intensity. And my flash is currently set at like a quarter power or half power, whatever power it's set to. And I want to use a lower aperture. So I don't want to use 5.6. I want to have more of a blurred out background. So I want to shoot at f2.8 or f2. So going from 5.6, one stop less light is f4, and then one stop less light from that is f2.8. And if I want to go to f2, that's 3 stops less light on the flashes. So I would go turn my camera to f2 and then go to the flashes and go from, let's say we're at half power. Now I'm going to go to quarter power, 8th power, 16th power on the flashes, and now everything will be the same exact exposure that I had before. And the background color will stay exactly the same as long as I didn't change anything like ISO. I should be good to go. Now the same applies for video as well. So a lot of times you see people trying to do green screen, chroma key, and one of the mistakes that they make is they put the subject way too close to the background. And not only do you have to move these lights on the background to, you know, let's say somewhere closer like that. So now they're not spilling onto the subject, but I bring the subject in. At a certain point, this light is going to reflect back onto the subject. And you'll see a lot of bad green screen where the edges of the person are actually getting like to disappear with the chroma key, or you'll see the green fringing. So what you want to do if you're going to do green screen or any type of gelling of color on the background is just move your subject farther away from the background. And that's it, guys. I hope that this helps. If you have any questions on how to gel a background, just remember, set your background first. That's how I do it. You don't have to, but I like to be able to see what color is my light going to be on that background in comparison to the subject. So if I can at least dial in my settings for the background, then all I have to do is worry about adjusting the power of my key light on my subject to match whatever aperture that I'm getting with the background color that I like. That makes sense to me. First set the background, then make your key light match the same aperture. If you use a light meter, it's really quick and easy. If not, take a couple test shots, turn your power up or down depending on if it's too bright or too dark on the subject. And that's it. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks. Have a great day.